All right, so get this. We're diving deep today into some pretty wild stuff that honestly kind of freaks me out a little.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys sent us this sermon by Prophet Hubert Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, this thing is raising some serious eyebrows.
What are you saying?
Well, he's connecting Elon Musk, the Tesla and SpaceX guy,
Right.
to biblical prophecy, like straight up end time stuff.
Oh, wow.
And what's really got people talking is the level of detail he goes into.
Mm.
It's not just vague stuff. He's like connecting Tesla model names and the speed of satellites to like hidden codes and stuff.
Is he saying that Elon Musk is like the Antichrist or something?
No, not exactly. But it's definitely making people wonder if it's all just coincidence or if something bigger is going on.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of stuff that makes you look twice at your phone and be like, okay, who's really in control here?
Right.
So to understand Angel's point of view, though, you got to start with his premise.
Okay.
He believes that what's happening in the world right now, all these events,
Yeah.
are like setting the stage for the Antichrist's arrival.
Okay.
And the really interesting part is he doesn't necessarily think that people like Elon Musk are like intentionally evil,
Oh.
but he's saying their work might be playing a role in this whole prophetic narrative.
So it's not about demonizing Musk himself, but more about the potential consequences of the stuff he's creating.
Exactly. Like regardless of his intentions,
Mm.
the outcome could be something we need to pay attention to.
Makes sense?
And Angel talks a lot about technology being a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On one hand, we've got all these advancements that are, improving lives, connecting people, all that good stuff.
Right.
But then there's this huge potential for manipulation and control.
And he gives some pretty specific examples in this sermon, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he names names.
Like what?
Well, like Neuralink, that
Mhm.
brain chip technology.
Yeah.
He sees that as a way that thoughts could potentially be controlled.
Whoa.
And then there's social media, which, we've already seen how it can be used to manipulate public opinion, sow division, all that. And even something like Tesla's over-the-air updates. They can update your car remotely.
Yeah.
He's saying that could be used to control vehicles remotely, in theory.
Okay, now that's scary.
It's like he's painting this picture of a world where technology is super convenient, but it's also making us really vulnerable.
It's true. You think about how much we rely on our phones, our computers, all of it.
Right. We just kind of blindly trust them with our data, our communication, even our physical safety sometimes.
It's like, are we becoming more vulnerable, not less, as we get more connected?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's kind of mind-blowing.
And this is where Angel's focus on Elon Musk gets really interesting.
Okay, how so?
He sees Musk as kind of like a marker for these end times.
A marker.
Yeah, like someone whose work has these major prophetic implications.
And it's not just any of his companies, right?
No, he specifically points to SpaceX, Twitter, and Neuralink.
Which all touch on some pretty fundamental parts of human existence.
Exactly. Like, think about it. SpaceX controls communication through its satellites.
Right.
Twitter now, X, has a huge influence on shaping narratives, controlling information.
True.
And Neuralink could potentially mess with our thoughts, even our consciousness.
Wow.
And Angel's argument is that these aren't just businesses. They're tools that could be used to control people on a level we've never seen before.
It's kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
And then there are those coincidences that he points out, the ones that make you go, is that really just chance?
Like what?
Well, the Tesla model spelling out S3XY, okay, maybe that's just Musk being playful.
Uh-huh.
But the speed of satellites being 66,600 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
If you know anything about biblical numerology, that's a pretty loaded number.
For sure.
And that's where Angel brings in this thing called Greek gematria.
Oh, yeah, that ancient system where they assign numbers to letters.
Exactly, and he uses it to find hidden meanings and stuff.
It's definitely controversial.
It is.
But it adds another layer to his argument.
Yeah, like he's saying there's this deeper code embedded in the world. And if you know how to read it, it tells you what's really going on. Okay, so maybe the S3XY thing is a stretch.
Maybe.
But the point about those satellite speeds and the potential for control,
Yeah.
that's where it starts to feel less like coincidence and more like something we should be paying attention to.
I agree.
And it ties into this whole idea that there's this kind of psychological warfare going on.
What do you mean?
Like we're being slowly desensitized to things that would have been totally unacceptable not that long ago.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's like we're just walking right into this world, and we don't even really get it. But the stakes are so high.
It is a lot to take in.
It really is. And this is where angels take on those biblical prophecies, like that one about the two witnesses. It
Yeah.
gets really creepy when you think about what technology can do now.
Oh, man, that one really got me. Can you remind us what that prophecy's about and how Angel connects it to Elon Musk?
Yeah. So the prophecy says these two prophets, Enoch and Elijah, they come back to earth and preach against the Antichrist,
Right.
and they get killed by him. And then their bodies are left out in the open for everyone to see.
Gruesome.
Yeah, it's like this big spectacle meant to scare people and make the Antichrist look powerful.
And in the past, that kind of global thing, you couldn't even imagine it.
Right.
But now with companies like SpaceX launching all those satellites, internet everywhere, even the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. That kind of worldwide event doesn't seem so crazy anymore.
So Angel's saying Starlink could be how the whole world sees this happen.
Yeah, like everyone watching in real time, amplifying the whole thing, creating this fear and control that's like almost unimaginable.
And then there's that P-phone thing he talks about.
Oh, yeah.
Supposedly lets you talk from your brain to a phone using Neuralink.
Like straight out of sci-fi.
I know, right? It really makes you think, where is all this going?
Imagine everyone connected all the time, their thoughts and everything, potentially open to whoever controls the tech.
That's scary.
It's like surveillance and control on a whole other level beyond anything we've ever seen.
And Angel says we're being trained for this right now.
What do you mean?
Like with each new tech thing, we get more okay with giving up privacy and being controlled.
I see.
Like Apple Watches, think about it, 10 years ago, wearing something that tracks you and your heart all the time would have seemed creepy.
Yeah, probably.
Now millions of people do it without even thinking.
It's just normal.
So he's saying what seems extreme today, like a chip in your head that can read your thoughts,
Right.
that could be normal tomorrow.
Because people have been slowly getting used to it.
Exactly. Not because they're forced, but because they've been conditioned to accept it.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. And he also talks about how dangerous it is to give so much power to just a few people, especially when it comes to tech that affects everyone.
Like Elon Musk.
Yeah, he brings up how Musk got involved in that Ukraine-Russia thing.
Providing internet to Ukraine with Starlink.
Yeah, a lot of people saw it as a good thing, but Angel uses it as an example
Of what?
of how one person with powerful tech can have a huge impact on the world.
That's true.
And then you add control over information.
Which is what Angel thinks Musk wants with buying Twitter, now X.
Right. It's like he's got the keys to the communication kingdom.
Able to control what people see, hear, even think.
And Angel doesn't hold back on how this manipulation might already be happening.
What does he say?
He talks about these accusations that certain groups were paid to post specific stuff online, you know, like pro-Trump or pro-Harris content. Yeah, whether it's true or not. The point is we got to be aware of how people try to influence us sometimes without us even knowing.
It's like, what else are we believing without even questioning it?
Exactly. How much of what we think is real is actually being controlled by the people who run the platforms we use every day?
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is. And Angel says the devil, he calls him the king of the airwaves, is using all this tech to trick us and control us.
So what are we supposed to do?
Right. Like, are we just pawns in this game, or do we have any say in what happens?
$1,000,000 question.
And it's one we're going to dig into even more in the next part of our deep dive.
I mean, it does feel like we're at this crossroads, you know?
Yeah, like on one hand, you have all this amazing tech that could connect us, heal us, even like make us better.
Right.
But on the other, it's like we're giving away the keys to our minds, our freedom, our souls even.
Yeah, and that's really the core of Angel's message. That tension between the good and the bad, the promise and the danger.
He's not saying ditch all technology, right?
Yeah, not at all.
It's more about being smart about how we use it.
Exactly. Recognizing that it's a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
But he really emphasizes discernment, doesn't he?
Over and over again.
Like, it's not about rejecting tech. It's about realizing it's a tool.
Right.
And we got to be careful how we use it.
And that's where prayer comes in.
Oh, yeah. He talks a lot about that.
He believes we need God's guidance now more than ever to figure out how to navigate all this new stuff.
Because it's changing so fast.
It is. It's not enough to just rely on our own understanding or get swept up in all the trends.
We have to actually search for wisdom.
Yeah, ask God to show us the truth behind all the illusions and give us the strength to resist the temptations.
And he even suggests that the people creating this tech, like Elon Musk,
Uh-huh.
they might not even fully understand the spiritual side of what they're building.
Like, they're making these powerful tools, but they don't know what forces might end up using them.
That's a scary thought.
It is. Because if the creators don't get it, then it's up to us, the users, to be aware of the dangers.
So we have to ask the tough questions.
Absolutely, like who benefits from this tech?
What are the downsides?
Is this actually making my life better or just making me more dependent, more controllable?
And I think that's where his focus on community is so important.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all of this, like you just want to give up.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if we have people around us who get it, who are asking the same questions, praying together, supporting each other.
It gives you a sense of grounding.
Yeah, you can find strength and clarity in community.
Like a spiritual support system.
Exactly. A network of people who can help you see what's true and what's not.
And remind you what really matters when all the digital noise gets too loud.
Because let's face it, it's tempting to just tune it all out.
Oh yeah, pretend it's not happening.
Especially when you think about the stuff Angel talks about.
Like the mark of the beast and how it could be connected to technology.
Yeah, some people hear that and they freak out.
Or they just dismiss it as crazy talk.
But that's why discernment is so key.
He's not saying all tech is evil.
Nope. He actually thinks Christians can and should use tech for good.
Like sharing the gospel online.
Connecting with people across the world.
Building communities of faith that go beyond borders.
He even talks about how tech can be used for healing and restoration.
Right. But he draws a line when it comes to things that could control or manipulate our minds.
Like the Neuralink brain chip.
That's a no-go for him.
Too far.
He thinks that messes with our very essence, our consciousness.
And it brings up those big questions about free will and what it means to be human in a world where tech is blurring the lines between us and machines.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But I think Angel's point is not to scare us. It's to wake us up.
To make us realize that we're not just passive consumers of technology.
We're active participants in shaping the world it's creating.
And that's actually empowering.
It means we have a choice.
We can be mindful, we can pray, we can search for wisdom.
And use technology in a way that lines up with our values.
Or we can just go with the flow, give up control.
And become slaves to the system, as Angel puts it.
So what does this all mean for you?
Yeah. Does it change how you see Elon Musk's work?
What other signs do you see in the world around you?
And most importantly, how will you choose to respond?
Angel gave us a lot to think about, even if he didn't have all the answers.
And as technology keeps changing so fast, these questions are only going to get more important, more serious.
The future is being written right now.
And it's up to each of us to decide what part we'll play in writing it.